Brearley arrived to a pretty disheartened group of players.
The understanding of people is a vital part of captaincy. A lot of the work is done in secret in dressing rooms.
If you have a good dressing room and all the players are behind you and all the players are giving you 100%, you'll conquer the world.
Brearley was very good at just the odd quiet word here and there of reassurance, or just to let you know that he was thinking about you. And that, in very simple terms, is often enough.
People say to me, how do you describe Mike Brearley? I said, well, think of Star Trek, think of Spock. Looks into your eyes, and it's as if he's examining what's in the back of the head.
As soon as he was appointed, when you got to the ground, Botham seemed refreshed, seemed a new man.
I was just a little bit nervous. Would he be completely, how would he feel? Would he be a bit bolshy? Would he be a bit negative?
Bottle bowl.
Hey, boss, you would have been confident in the ball, would you?
Oh, right.
Came up to me and said, are you sure you want to play this game? And I said, what do you mean I'm sure I want to play this game? Of course I want to play this bloody game. I said, it's the Australians. Of course I want to play it. And he said, well, if you're happy, I'm happy. I think you'll get 10 wickets and 100 runs in this match.
And so battle commenced.
First touch for Mike Brearley. It's always nice to get your hand on the ball early on in a Test match, particularly if you're making a comeback at 39.
Australia raced to 50. So time for the captain to change the bowler.
And he's gone, and Ian Botham has done it. The old magic returns.
In roared Beefy again.
Always put him down.
But the catches wouldn't stick. And Botham himself still had iron hands.
You'd hardly believe it.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Out came the Aussie captain, King Hughes. Putting England on the back foot.
33 to Hughes, 220 for 3.
What a fine shot. And that's his 50.
Brearley desperately needed his scalp.
Oh, no!
304.
But Hughes seemed irresistible.
Oh, that's a good shot. Oh, he could be out. Botham underneath, he's got it, and that's the end of Tim Hughes' innings. They are at last. So Hughes out for 89, a very fine innings indeed.
Beefy had got his man. And now there was a spring in Botham's step.
Not far away. Must be gone. Botham has struck again.
And the Australian batsman offered little resistance.
Oh, Taylor out. Colin gets his first 5-wicket haul since the game before he took over as captain.
But whatever Botham's personal triumph, a score of 400 left England's new captain with a mountain to climb.
The pressure was, had we picked the wrong team? It was the very first decision I'd made, and wrong. Was I taking up a space that would be better used by someone who's a better batsman? In fact, I needed to be reassured by the important members of the team that they really wanted me as captain for me to feel that I was worth my place.
England set out to bat, determined to prove that Brearley didn't weaken the batting.
He's off the mark.
It started hopefully,
Ray Bright doing the fielding.
but soon began falling apart.
And he's out, caught behind. England's captain goes for 10. England are 40 for 2.
Boycott and Gower fell quickly.
And a marvellous...
Gatting soon followed.
And he's out.
And now out steps a man with everything to prove.
One.
Safely away for 4. Good shot, that. Hold him, that's well bowled.
Alone, he offered resistance. Trying to spare England's blushes.
That's exactly what he wants to do.
But Lilly was determined to put England to the sword.
And he's gone. Rodney Marsh, that was a good catch.
And there it is, 53 in both.
Beefy's first Test 50 for over a year.
Oh. 36 now needed to avoid the follow-on. And he's gone. Very fine delivery.
Marsh, Lilly and Hughes might have issues off the pitch, but they didn't show on it. In their first innings, England had scored a miserable 174 runs. They must follow on.
As the law of cricket says that if you have a 200 lead on the first innings, you have the option of sending your opponent in a consecutive innings. A follow-on in cricket is basically a death sentence. You don't come back from there.
And to cap it all, angry spectators showered the pitch with cushions when play was abandoned for bad light.
General public are totally frustrated with the ineptitude of the laws and the way they're interpreted.
I've watched Test cricket.
Well, I tell you one thing, the suffer in the end. Serves them right.
Yeah, you won't see me here again.
England to that stage had been totally humiliated at Headingley. By the middle of that game, the idea of Brearley being a captaincy guru just appeared comical.
999 times out of 1,000, one would lose from that position unless it poured with rain. We'd really, in effect, lost the match by then.
Players and journalists alike were booking out of hotel rooms because they thought the game would be over in Australia's favour after the rest day.
The fourth day of this third Cornhill Test match at Headingley. England need 221 runs to avoid an innings defeat.
Yes, easy as you like. And the first victim of the morning for Dennis Lilly.
That was very well bowled. That's close.
Australia had the whip hand. They seemed to be certain winners.
The scoreboard flashed an unusual sight. A bookmaker offering odds on an England victory of 500 to 1.
500 to 1, pretty good odds, aren't they, in a two-horse race? You're going to put your house on the fact Australia's going to win that Test match.
You had to laugh.
Dennis saw them on the electronic scoreboard, England 500 to 1. He wanted to have 50 quid on it. I wouldn't let him have 50 quid.
It was just too tempting for Lilly and Marsh.
The Australian larrikinism, basically what Rod and Dennis did, do something contrary. If the Poms think it's 500 to 1, that's stupid, so we'll actually put some money on it. It's only £5 or what it was to the bookies. I mean, who cares? It doesn't matter. You can't imagine it would cause any drama because you don't think it's going to happen.
It was a joke bet, and as Dennis said, if we were going to throw the game, we would have had more than £5 and £10 on it.
But there is a certain lack of seriousness about that bet that you can't imagine that Lillian Marsh would have done that had Greg Chappell been captain. You can read it all sorts of different ways. You can even get the sense that maybe Lillian Marsh subconsciously thought that if anyone can lose it from here, it'll be Hughes.
But then for 100 years, no team had ever won a Test match after following on.
3/4 of the game, we were just getting hammered. Then all of a sudden, God walked on the field.
Yeah, what a triumph for him it would be if he could still be batting at 6 o'clock this evening. Lovely shot.
Could he and Boycott save England's honour?
And he's gone, and a very reluctant lever of the crease.
Boycott out, the last of the specialist batsmen. The tail ender, Dilley now.
He was twitchy when he came out. He said, well, how do you want to do it? I said, we're just going to have fun. Play and see what happens.
And Dilley did just that. Botham's confidence grew.
Overthrows.
As the Aussies got sloppy.
It was like playing schoolboy cricket again because there was no pressure on us. It wasn't ultimately going to make any difference, but we were just clawing a little bit back.
You couldn't stand on that wicket and just try and play orthodox because you'd have got out. You'd have got one that had bounced or whatever. And the Aussies thought, well, they kept the field and they thought, well, let him play because he'll nick one in a minute because he's obviously having to go at it. He's going to attack.
And that's, again, beautifully timed.
Sooner or later, there's one with your name on it.
4 runs.
Oh, splendid shot.
We thought, oh, not bad, this batting luck. And he had a bit of talent with the bat. When he got to about 20, he was there, prodding down the wicket. He thought it was the greatest thing. He was loving it.
And that brings up the 50 partnership. And not quite where he intended, but it brings him his 50 nonetheless.
His second 50 of the match.
He was back enjoying his cricket again. It was just like a release of tension.
Safely over the top of Hughes' head. He's got away with it. To a great cheer from this crowd, who are relieved to see the home team at least putting up a fight here. Just 8 needed now to make Australia bat again.
Time to step it up.
Oh, now it's 4 needed.
There's a lot of luck in that innings of mine. There's a few edges went here and a few inside edges there, a few out the middle.
But,
most extravagant runs, you know, you would never put it down as an innings of beauty. It was just a bloke having a yahoo.
We just met in the middle of the wicket and just laughed, right? Because it was funny for us.
Alternating recklessness and brilliance, England went into the lead.
Absolute thoroughbred stroke.
Botham chancing his arm. and Hughes unable to staunch the onslaught. Could Botham and Dilley overturn the odds?
Between Ian Botham and Graham Dilley. If they haven't turned the match upside down, they've certainly turned the character of the match upside down.
You know, I suddenly thought I could get 50 here.
And a lovely way for Graham Dilley to get his maiden Test 50.
But nothing lasts forever. Dilley out for 50.
Once Alderman decided that would...
But Botham was having too much fun.
They're looking for that, let alone chasing it.
A 6. Impudent. Brilliant.
Into the confectionery stall and out again.
Partnership with Dilley, but then Chris Hole comes in it. And suddenly they realise that if we can just get a little bit ahead here, if we can just get a lead, what the Australians might see as, oh my goodness, are we going to blow this, to have something to work with.
That's a splendid 100.
His first century for a year and a half.
50 in the first innings, a century in the second, and 6 wickets. All of whom have gathered, and Mike Greeley is just giving him the word to stick around.
It's going up for his 25th four.
England lead now by 124 runs. A marvellous effort when you consider the situation they were in at tea time, where everything looked desperate.
Then makes a 149, and it put England in a position where they had a glimmer.
The rejuvenated hero takes the ball.
That's a good shot. And 4 more.
Then Wood hangs his bat out. And it's strike 1 to Beefy.
Half century up for Australia. 2 to win.
Worried about no balls, Willis toils fruitlessly up the hill.
I thought Willis had gone. I thought he'd lost his zip. He didn't look as though he was going to really threaten us.
So Brearley switches him.
He says, just bowl fast and let me worry about the no balls.
We said, forget about everything else, bowl fast and straight. You know, flat out. Hit the stumps or hit the man. You know, bowl straight.
Hoping the downhill speed will give Willis an edge.
I was clearly bowling for my Test match life. There's no greater inspiration than that.
An evil bouncer dug in.
He's gone.
But not a smile from Willis. Ready to bowl at the Copshaw, Kim Hughes. And another captain was out. Caught Botham. Bowled Willis.
Runs, wickets and catches, and the Australian captain goes for naught.
Two quick wickets, but Willis remained unsmiling.
People thought I was drug-induced. I was concentrating so intently. Almost the celebrations for each wicket were a distraction.
Kim Hughes, I must say, I can agree with him. He said he would still rather be in Australia's position than in England's. But the momentum, the psychological advantage of this game has shifted.
Oh, and unlucky.
Dyson alone stood firm. Brearley gestured and waved, filled as carefully placed. This was big. Even Willis smiled.
It was magnificent. He was almost hypnotised. You know, he was in a trance, and he just came down there and he bowled and he turned and he was back and he didn't seem to show any fatigue whatsoever.
The bookmakers had offered 500 to 1 against England. Mustn't be sweating.
But now here's Australia's Iron Man, Rod Marsh.
In the air, Dilly is underneath it.
Dilly stays inside the rope.
A little before this time yesterday, English cricket was being buried. Yes, he's got a touch and he's gone.
And when Lawson fell, Australia had lost 7 wickets for 20 runs. Incredible.
The way it was being received nationally, the way that everything stopped, the stock exchange stopped, work to watch the denouement of this test match.
So now it was the old firebrand, Dennis Lillee,
Oh, and that's very effective indeed. 4 runs.
fancying himself with the bat.
Didn't quite get that. I
He
don't
and
think.
Bright riding their luck.
Up comes the 100 for Australia.
And only 20 runs for Australia to make it home.
Mike really have to go and have a chat with Bob Willis.
And the ball fell to Gatton.
Oh, what a good catch.
Willis looked exhausted. And Beefy took the ball. But victory seemed to be slipping through England's grasp.
Put him down. Crisol.
Once more into the breach then for Willis, the man who wasn't even supposed to be there.
Bowl him. It's all over, and it is one of the most fantastic victories ever known in Test cricket history.
His 8th wicket, his greatest ever performance.
Fabulous performance. England have won this match after one of the most astonishing fightbacks you could ever see.
Now, if you haven't heard it already, I'm very proud to offer you some of the best news of the day. England beat Australia at Headingley, Leeds in the Test match this afternoon. It was a victory of truly heroic proportions, I don't exaggerate, with Australia all out for 111, just 18 runs adrift. And that leaves the series level with 3 matches to go, and quite some matches obviously they're going to be.
Do you feel now that you can claim the Ashes?
Well, it wouldn't be me to say that we couldn't, would it?
I know the question...
We're 3-0 down with 4 to play, I'd still say we could do it, so obviously I think we can do it.
I know the question you have been dreading people asking, but I have to ask because everybody's saying it.
Well, you won't mind if I don't answer it then, will you?
Well, try it. Listen to the question first. That your
Because
return to
because
form...
I'm not captain.
Yeah. Is it
my
a
return to
coincidence
form-
or is it...
Well, like I said the other night, it's the original Catch-22 situation. And I couldn't give a monkey stuff so long as England win, and we won. That's all that worries me.
Well, even I'm excited, and cricket usually bores me silly.
It was a fairy tale cricket match, really. And they had a fairy tale wedding just coming around the corner. And I think people might have been hungry for the odd fairy tale at that time.
England had overturned odds of 500 to 1. Their first victory in 18 months left the series finely poised, 1-1 with 3 to play. But never mind all that. It was time for a party.
Almost at the cathedral, the first cast of ceremonial was about to begin.
was over the top, man. I mean, after the Test match and this, I mean, I don't know what to do. Where do you go now?
Kept on thinking to myself how glad I was in some ways that I wasn't at home, because my wife would have made, well, it would have been on the television. No, I'm not into royal weddings.
After the party, the hangover. How quickly sporting victory fades. Yesterday's triumphs, old newsprint. By the last day of the next test, it seemed as if Headingley was just a dream. Kim Hughes' Australia seemed destined to get their revenge. They needed only 150 runs in their final innings. And before long, that target had been reduced to less than 50.
102 for 4.
And they still had 6 men to bat.
Australia were in a tremendous position.
And that one was a very good stroke from Kent. Really?
Brearley, he came to me and said, "What do you think, Dickie?" And I said, "Well, I think you've had it, skipper." He said, no, he said, "I think I bring the gorilla on at the far end, that's Botham. I'll bring Both on."
It was the last throw of the dice, but if you had a person you would turn to in those circumstances, it would be Botham.
It was Brearley who made the detached captaincy decision. You should bowl. There's a difference between making that decision for yourself and doing it on the recommendation of a man that you respect. If Botham had been captain, I don't think he would have bowled himself.
Hold him. 114 for 6. Rodney Marsh goes, trying to hit it away through mid-on. Across the line. 114 for 6. He's out. LBW. Botham's on a hat-trick. First ball, Ray Bright. It looked to me as though it kept a bit low. It also looked to me as though it was absolutely plump. Gone. It's 120 for 8.
Really bullish bowling. The ball charging in. This is a China shop job.
It was a great atmosphere. They walked out there and they must have thought there was 100,000 people there, not 20,000.
In comes in Botham.
Botham's got the Indian sign over the Australians, and they know it.
And he's bowled him. A joyous, triumphant Botham there. Arms aloft again. 121 for 9.
That was almost that thing, oh God, here we go again. It's the same as ship had been in a good, strong winning position, and oh God, I hope it doesn't happen.
Casey. That's it this time. He made sure he's taken 5 wickets. He grabbed the stump.
5 wickets for 1 run. England win the Test match.
And another memorable victory for England.
Boss had done it again. Roy of the Rovers. When you give it that.
Tremendous performances, Australia.
And I was just stood there, a square leg. It's all over. Amazing. Amazing.
One man has virtually beaten the whole Australian Test team.
Tremendous performances. Australia finally dismissed on this 4th day of this 4th Cornhill Test.
If ever a man deserved a drink, it was man of the match Ian Botham, who'd taken 5 for 1 to give England the lead in the fight for the Ashes.
As the losing skipper twice running in conditions as dramatic, it must be very, very hard to take.
Yes, we obviously didn't deserve to win with batting the way we did. The wicket today played as well as it did yesterday, and I think for the whole game it's been a reasonably good wicket. Instead of being 3 up, we're 2-1 down, so we've really got to play well from here on in, and unfortunately our batsmen let us down again today. But to put a finger on it, why it happened, I just don't know.
We were shattered after that second one. We just, because we knew, Jesus, we should have been, would have been 3 up. Well, I could have hired my own plane then.
Oh, yeah, we were a lowly bunch at that stage, and no, we were awful. We had no spirit after that, I don't think. I mean, we're never going to come back from Edgbaston. We can come back from Headingley, because we did. We came back and put ourselves in a winning position. But we're never, ever going to come back from there, I didn't think.
Well, Kim, it's not so long ago since you really did face the prospect of going 2 up with 2 to play, or certainly having a look like a winning lead in the series, and suddenly the whole picture has changed, and now England are ahead again and 2 to play.
Yes, that's right, and there's still 2 more tests to go. It's just a bit difficult to say too much about it. Naturally, we're all very, very disappointed indeed, but we've still got to fight on.
And now the recriminations start. Old divisions flare up. Cracks become crevasses.
It's a very lonely place, being a leader, Lots of people tell you what to do. Rod and Dennis maybe had more influence over the players maybe than I did.
Probably would have been a lot easier had Dennis and I not been in the team for Kim. But, we were. You've got to be able to handle the youngsters. Sometimes they're a lot easier to handle than the old cantankerous buggers like us.
I think there's a great saying is that I don't ask you to like me, I just ask you to respect the position I hold. And I don't think that happened.
So we'd seen it all. We'd played under great captains. You get these things set in your mind. It's very difficult over a beer. Jesus, what did he do that for? That was a dumb move. You start thinking aloud, and not a good thing.
Dennis and Rod made life pretty difficult. That didn't mean that they went out and didn't try. They certainly tried. But I don't think, when I said charge, I don't think they were charged with me.
I don't think he was made out to be necessarily a leader. I think he was a hell of a good follower.
At Headingley, the ground had been half empty. Now it seemed the whole country was watching cricket.
Botham's heroics took the ordinary person's mind off what was going on. They had a hero to look up to.
People identified with the cricket team. I mean, there was something euphoric then, as if we represented something for the country, which made people feel better.
They were very difficult times, and that made sporting success all the more important.
They turned out in their thousands to see their hero. And they weren't to be disappointed.
In Australia, were in a big slump then. There was a big dent, and you could see it in the team. And the next test, it's really only one-way traffic.
In the air, 6.
The Old Trafford Test was really a demolition job of the Australians.
At Headingley, they gave Botham room to play strokes. Here, they're doing it again, and he smashed.
Everybody remembers the fairy tale of Headingley, but Ian's century at Old Trafford was a far better innings.
I remember one stroke he played off Terry Alderman in that, which was a clump over mid-wicket, which I can still hear reverberating, the noise of the ball coming off the bat there. I've never heard a sound like it since on a cricket field.
Now that was just about the best shot Botham's played today.
I've got DK Lilly, who I think is one of the greatest bowler that's ever lived, at one end, and you've got one of the most successful overseas bowlers to ever bowl in England, Terry Alderman, at the other.
Yeah, for 6. Dropped him.
An incredibly fast innings, fewer than 100 balls to his century. It was an innings of great force, of hugely powerful strokes. This wasn't a carefree innings, this was just a methodically clinical demolition.
Down the wicket, up go the arm, 6 more for Botham. A truly memorable, magnificent performance by Ian Botham.
I think he is a giant amongst cricketers of any age, and if you took him out of our side, we'd become an ordinary side. And if you put him into any other international side, they'd become a good side. That's a measure of his ability. Any captain that has him on his side is a lucky man.
Nothing could have been better for a packed Saturday afternoon crowd.
He was keen to be England captain, but now he's furnished fantastic evidence to one and all that he should never be captain, because you take the captaincy away from him and he performs like a superhero. He was at his best when there was that hint of irresponsibility about him. You didn't want Bob to be a totally responsible cricketer, I don't think, because that diminished him a bit. He was less frightened to their position.
What a superlative exhibition this has been. And to see an exhibition of stroke play such as we've seen from Ian Botham.
With victory at Old Trafford, England, against all the odds, had won the Ashes.
The turning point in the whole series has basically been Mike Brearley coming back and allowing Ian to perform as his ability has always suggested.
The great thing about Brearley was that he was able to get all those very strong personalities, very fantastic players, and get them maybe just to tweak a little bit. You're not going to turn Ian Botham into David Gower, but you just got to stop Ian Botham trying to kill Jeff Boycott. He got them to blend. It was an outstanding bit of leadership, which I didn't appreciate and didn't understand until well and truly I'd finished my cricketing career.
Charles Morrison!
My friend noticed that England had just won. Will he congratulate Ian Botham and the England team? And does he not think that their achievement demonstrates again how often it is possible to snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat, subject to a combination of applied ability and changed tactics?
My honourable friend, about a very remarkable achievement.
"1981 had been humiliation for Australia. But the chance for revenge came quickly enough. 18 months later, the England team, led now by Bob Willis, arrived in Australia to defend the Ashes. After Australia had taken an early lead in the series, the fate of the Ashes seemed to be swinging England's way. Until Kim Hughes, now reduced to the ranks, walked onto the pitch in the final match. With his battling innings, Australia had won back the Ashes.
That was great. So at least I can say, yeah, we lost them, but geez, we got them back. Well, I felt as if then I'd earned my stripes in the team, if you like.
Hughes' reward for his talent was to be reappointed Australian captain. But it didn't last long.
The constant speculation, criticism and innuendo by former players and section of the media over the past 4 or 5 years have finally taken their toll. It is in the interest of the team It is in the interest of the team, Australian cricket.
Statement continues, gentlemen. It is in the interest of the team, Australian cricket and myself, that I have informed the Australian Cricket Board of my decision to stand down as Australian captain.
I just look back at it and think that we'd won that test match up at Headingley, and I could have come back as one of the greatest leaders of all time. There's a movie called Sliding Doors, and mate, you know, through this door, life does something, and you go through that door and it can be totally different. And that's the beauty about the spontaneity about sport. It's not like watching the theatre. You know if you're going to watch a play or something, you know exactly what's going to happen. But in sport, the spontaneity is you go there and you don't know what's going to happen, and neither do the players.
There's an Australian historian, Greg Denning, who had this lovely line where he said that there is nothing so fleeting as sporting achievement, but nothing so lasting as the recollection of it. Normally when history's made, it's by great impersonal forces that we don't experience firsthand. History doesn't happen like the Berlin Wall most of the time. Things change without us noticing. With sport, in the arc of a stroke, in the swing of a ball, you can see history changing in front of you. And there's something incredibly compelling about that.
It changed my life, and it changed England. The country needed a little bit of a lift at that time, and along came cricket in 1981. Everything changed. Winning, you know, it is a magnificent feeling.
Yeah, what a triumph for him it would be if he could still be batting at 6 o'clock this evening.
And that was our summer.
True.